Welcome back, everybody, to Coffeesodes. I'm Josh, your host, and with me is our expert, Kelly.
Hi, everyone.
So
It's
today,
lovely to be here.
oh yeah, thanks for being here. Today we're brewing up episode number 38, and we're diving into something I bet you never thought had like a deep evolutionary backstory.
Yeah,
Laughter.
it's a good one.
We got some research that you sent our way, and you can find those links in the episode description if you want to like follow along at home.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so before we get to the giggles,
Yeah.
let's talk about primates and their unique way of bonding,
Right.
grooming.
Yes.
It's not just about hygiene, right?
No, definitely not. It's more like their social media. It's how they build connections and maintain those close relationships. They can spend hours picking bugs and dirt off of each other, which, believe it or not, releases endorphins and makes them feel closer.
So like their version of happy hour, but with less Chardonnay and more
Pretty much.
bugs?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd want to go that happy hour.
Maybe not, but there is a catch. As primate groups get bigger, this whole grooming thing becomes a huge time suck. And there are only so many hours in the day, and they've got other things to do besides picking parasites off of each other.
Right, yeah, like finding food, raising their young, and avoiding predators, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happens when the group gets too big for everyone to get their grooming fix?
That is where things get interesting. Dunbar, a researcher who studied this extensively, calls it the grooming bottleneck. He argues there's a limit to how much time primates can actually spend grooming, and when those groups exceed that limit, it creates a real challenge for, like, social cohesion.
So it's almost like a social bandwidth issue. You can only have so many close connections when grooming is your primary way to bond.
Precisely. And that is where laughter comes in. Dunbar suggests that laughter evolved as a way to overcome this bottleneck, a kind of social hack, if you will.
Wait, are you telling me that our ability to laugh is a direct result of primates not having enough time to groom each other?
That's the theory. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it. Laughter, just like grooming, triggers those feel-good endorphins. But the beauty of laughter is that it's a group activity. You can laugh with multiple individuals at the same time, strengthening several bonds simultaneously.
Okay, that's fascinating. So instead of spending hours grooming each member of the group individually, our ancestors figured out that a good communal laugh could do the trick much faster. Is there any scientific evidence to support this idea?
There is. Dunbar actually conducted several experiments to test this hypothesis. In one study, he had participants watch either a funny video or a neutral one, and afterward, he tested their pain tolerance. And guess what?
I'm on the edge of my seat. Did the laughers have a higher pain threshold?
They did, and this was consistent across multiple experiments. What Dunbar found was that laughter consistently elevated pain thresholds, suggesting that it was indeed triggering an endorphin release.
So laughter doesn't just make us feel good, it actually has a measurable physiological impact on our bodies, dulling pain and increasing our tolerance. That's wild.
And to further confirm that endorphin link, Dunbar used brain imaging to actually watch what was happening while people laughed. He observed a direct correlation between the frequency of laughter and the activity of endorphin receptors in the brain.
So they could literally see the endorphins firing as people were cracking up. Talk about hard evidence.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting when you look at how laughter impacts our sense of connection. Using a standard psychological test, they found that people who laughed together reported feeling more connected and included in the group compared to those who didn't share a chuckle.
So it's not just a subjective feeling of closeness. There's an actual measurable increase in social bonding as a result of laughter.
Right. And we often think of laughter as something that happens in big, boisterous groups, but research shows that most of our laughter actually occurs in much smaller groups, averaging just 2 to 3 people.
So those everyday giggles we share with friends or family, those are the real gold mines of social connection.
Absolutely, and that's why laughter is such a potent bonding tool. It allows us to connect with multiple people at the same time, which becomes crucial as group sizes increase. In fact, Dunbar's calculations show that laughter is nearly 3 times more efficient than grooming when it comes to bonding a group.
Wow. It's like nature found a way to upgrade our social software.
Yeah.
Enabling us to build stronger relationships more quickly.
Exactly. And that leads to a really intriguing question. If laughter is this powerful tool for connection, when did it evolve? When did our ancestors make the leap from grooming to giggling?
That's a great question. Is there any way to pinpoint that moment in evolutionary history?
Well, Dunbar took a fascinating approach to try and figure that out. He used what he calls a reverse engineering model, looking at the brain sizes and estimated group sizes of early humans to figure out when the demands of social bonding would have exceeded the capacity of grooming alone.
So he's working backwards from what we know about modern humans and primates, trying to piece together the social lives of our ancestors. That's pretty clever.
It is, and by analyzing the data, he identified two major pinch points periods when grooming alone just wouldn't have been enough to keep those social groups cohesive. The first one occurred around 2.4 million years ago, coinciding with the emergence of the genus Homo.
Wow, so we're talking way back to some of our earliest human ancestors.
We are, and at that point, there was a significant jump in brain size and estimated group size. The social demands were increasing, and Dunbar suggests that grooming alone wouldn't have been enough to keep those groups together.
So he thinks that's when laughter evolved. Like, hey, we're spending way too much time grooming. Let's try this whole laughing thing instead.
It's definitely a strong contender. But there's another pinch point he found, much later in our evolutionary history, around 600,000 years ago, with the appearance of archaic humans, like Neanderthals.
So a more recent, but still incredibly ancient jump in social complexity? Does that mean that laughter might have evolved even later than we initially thought?
It's possible. But when you consider the time constraints and group sizes of early Homo, that earlier date, 2.4 million years ago, seems to be the more likely candidate for the birth of laughter.
Okay, I'm curious. Why does that earlier date make more sense in terms of the evolution of laughter?
Well, keep in mind, even with laughter's efficiency, it still takes time to have a good laugh. And when Dunbar crunched the numbers, he found that if archaic humans had relied solely on laughter to bond their even larger groups, they would have been spending an absurd amount of time just laughing.
Like, sorry, can't gather food today, got a laugh-a-thon scheduled.
Yeah.
I guess even laughter has its limits.
Exactly. But for early Homo, the extra time required for laughter-based bonding fits much more neatly into their estimated time budgets. They had slightly smaller groups and more flexibility in their daily schedules to squeeze in those crucial bonding moments.
So early Homo, with their more manageable groups and a bit more wiggle room in their schedules, could afford to invest in some quality chuckle time to keep those social connections strong.
Precisely. And that leads to a pretty mind-blowing possibility. Laughter might actually predate language.
Wait, seriously? Our ancestors were cracking jokes before they could even speak. That's incredible.
It is. And it really changes how we think about laughter, doesn't it? It's not just a frivolous bit of fun. It might be one of the key ingredients in our evolutionary success.
That is absolutely mind-blowing. It seems like something so simple, yet it potentially plays such a huge role in shaping who we are today.
It really does. And it makes you wonder about what those early laughs might have even sounded like. Did they resemble anything we'd recognize today?
That's a fascinating thought. I mean, it's hard to imagine what a pre-language laugh would have sounded like. Maybe more like grunts and squeals of delight.
It's possible. Researchers believe that laughter probably started with simpler vocalizations, like those made during play or in response to tickling.
So maybe it was those shared moments of physical play and excitement that laid the foundation for laughter as we know it.
Exactly. And over time, those vocalizations likely became more distinct and recognizable as laughter, further strengthening its ability to bond individuals.
It's amazing to think that something as fundamental as laughter has such deep roots in our evolutionary history. But I'm curious, how does laughter actually work? What's going on in our brains and bodies when we find something funny?
Well, while we don't fully understand all the complexities of the neurology involved, we do know that laughter is a highly contagious behavior.
Well, tell me about it. I can barely keep a straight face when I see someone else laughing, even if I have no idea what they were laughing about.
Right. And that contagiousness is a key part of its power as a social bonding tool. When you laugh with someone, you're mirroring their behavior, creating a kind of synchronized emotional response.
It's like a physical expression of shared understanding, a way of saying, I get it. I find this funny too, without having to use any words.
Exactly. And those shared bursts of laughter, whether they're triggered by a witty remark, a silly situation, or even just a moment of shared absurdity, foster a sense of unity and belonging within a group.
So it's like a nonverbal glue that strengthens those social connections. I'm starting to realize that laughter is so much more than just a fleeting moment of amusement.
It really is, and it highlights how important these shared moments of joy and connection are for building trust and cooperation, essential elements for any society to function effectively.
This is so fascinating. We started by talking about primates grooming each other, and now we're uncovering the deep evolutionary roots of laughter and its profound impact on human social behavior. Okay, so we've talked about the why of laughter, its role in social bonding and evolution. But let's get a bit more practical. What does this knowledge mean for us in our everyday lives?
I think the main takeaway is to be more mindful of laughter's power. The next time you share a genuine laugh with someone, take a moment to appreciate that connection you're forging. It's not just about feeling good in the moment, you're actually strengthening the bonds of your relationship.
You know, you're right. Thinking back to the last time I had a really good laugh with a friend, I do feel closer to them now, even though I can't remember what we were laughing about.
It's those shared experiences of joy and amusement that lay the foundation for lasting, healthy relationships.
So should we be actively seeking out more opportunities to laugh? Should we be signing up for improv classes or hosting weekly joke nights?
Those aren't bad ideas, but I think it's more about being open to those spontaneous moments of laughter that naturally occur in our daily interactions.
So instead of forcing it, we should simply be present and receptive to the humor that exists all around us.
Exactly. Whether it's a silly inside joke with a coworker, or a funny observation with a stranger at the coffee shop, or a shared moment of absurdity with your family, embrace those opportunities to laugh together. They're more than just fleeting moments of amusement. They're the threads that connect us to one another. And it makes you wonder about the future of laughter. How will technology and our, ever-evolving social landscape shape the way we experience and express laughter in the years to come?
So much of our communication happens online these days.
Right.
Texting, emojis, memes. I wonder if those digital forms of communication can truly capture the essence of a genuine laugh.
That's a key point. A lot of the richness of laughter comes from those nonverbal cues, facial expressions, body language, the shared energy of a group. And it's hard to translate that fully into a digital format.
So are we losing something in the translation? Are those digital LOLs and laughing emojis just a pale imitation of the real thing?
I wouldn't say they're a replacement, but they do serve a purpose. Digital laughter allows us to convey humor and lightheartedness in a world that's increasingly reliant on, text-based communication.
So while we can still connect and share humor online, it's important to remember that it's not quite the same as being in the same room laughing together in real time.
Exactly. There's something about the shared physicality of laughter, the way it ripples through a group that just can't be replicated digitally. Those embodied experiences are crucial for triggering those deep-seated endorphin responses and forging strong social bonds.
It makes you appreciate the importance of those face-to-face interactions where laughter can truly flourish. So maybe the key is to find a balance, to embrace the opportunities for digital humor while also making time for those real-world connections where laughter can truly work its magic. This has been such an eye-opening conversation, Kelly. Well, listeners, we hope this deep dive into laughter has left you with a newfound appreciation for this incredible human experience. It's not just a fleeting moment of amusement, it's a powerful tool for connection, a legacy of our evolutionary past, and a reminder of our shared humanity.
So the next time you find yourself in the midst of a good laugh, take a moment to savor that feeling of connection. Those giggles are more than just a sound. They're a testament to the enduring power of human bonds.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of Coffeesodes. Keep those coffees brewing, keep those laughs coming, and we'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the fascinating world around us.